My mom stole my $5,000 dream trip to fund my brother's gaming setup, crushing my year-long plan, but I outsmarted her with clever crowdfunding and fierce determination to reclaim my Hawaii vacation and prove my worth. $5,000 for a trip I'd been planning for a year, and mom just gave it away. For a gaming setup. For my brother. Because he needed it more. I still remember the moment I said those words out loud, standing in the kitchen, my voice shaking with a mix of disbelief and betrayal. My name's Zoe, I'm 25, and this is the story of how my family's priorities got so twisted that I had to fight to feel like I mattered. It's messy, it's real, and it's probably something a lot of you have been through in your own way. Let me take you back to last spring. I'd been saving for my dream birthday trip to Hawaii for over a year. I'm a graphic designer, freelancing mostly, so every dollar I put aside meant late nights, skipped takeout, and saying no to concerts with friends. This trip wasn't just a vacation, it was my reward for grinding through a tough year, including a brutal breakup and losing a big client. I'd planned everything: a week in Maui, hiking volcanic trails, snorkeling in crystal waters, and maybe even learning to surf. The total cost was about $5,000, and I'd saved up $4,000 of it. Mom promised to cover the last $1,000 as her birthday gift to me. She'd been so excited when I first told her, saying, "Zoe, you deserve this. You've been working so hard." But then there's my brother, Justin. He's 22, still living at home, and let's just say he's the golden child in Mom's eyes. Justin's charming, funny, and has this knack for getting what he wants without much effort. He's always been the one who could do no wrong, even when he flunked out of community college or borrowed Dad's car and dented it. Me? I'm the responsible one. The one who moved out at 20, pays her own bills, and doesn't ask for handouts. I thought that earned me some respect, but apparently not. The trouble started in April, a month before my birthday. I was over at my parents' house for dinner, a small ranch-style place with a cluttered living room and a kitchen that always smells like garlic. We were eating Mom's famous lasagna when Justin dropped his bombshell. "I'm thinking about becoming a professional gamer," he said, leaning back in his chair like he'd just announced he was running for president. "There's real money in streaming, you know. I just need a better setup, new PC, monitors, the works. It's, like, $5,000 to do it right." I laughed at first, thinking he was joking. Justin's idea of commitment was remembering to take out the trash once a month. But Mom's eyes lit up. "That sounds so exciting, Justin. You could really make something of that." Dad just grunted, focused on his plate, which was his way of staying out of it. I didn't think much of it until a week later when Mom called me. "Zoe, honey," she started, her voice all soft and cautious, "I've been thinking about your birthday trip. I know I promised to help with the last $1,000, but Justin really needs that gaming setup. It's an investment in his future. You're doing okay, right? You can still go to Hawaii later." I was driving when she said it, and I had to pull over because my hands were shaking. "Mom, are you serious? I've been planning this for a year. You know how hard I've worked for it." I know, she said quickly, "but Justin's been struggling. He needs a win, Zoe. You're so strong, you'll figure it out." Struggling? Justin spent his days sleeping till noon and playing video games in his boxers. I was the one juggling deadlines and bills. But in that moment, I realized something: Mom wasn't just choosing Justin's gaming setup over my trip. She was choosing him over me. Again. That wasn't the only problem, though. There was another mess brewing, one that made everything 10 times worse. See, I'd already told my best friend, Willow, about the trip, and she'd booked her own flight to join me. Willow's 26, a nurse with a heart of gold but a temper that flares when she feels someone's been wronged. She'd taken time off work, spent her own money, and was just as excited as I was. When I told her Mom pulled the funding, she was livid. "Zoe, that's not fair. You can't let her do this to you." Willow wasn't wrong, but it wasn't that simple. I didn't have the extra $1,000 to cover Mom's share, and canceling the trip meant letting Willow down too. Plus, there was this nagging guilt in the back of my mind. What if Mom was right? What if Justin really needed this gaming setup to turn his life around? I hated how much I doubted myself, but growing up as the responsible sibling meant I was used to putting everyone else first. The next few weeks were a blur of frustration. I tried talking to Mom again, hoping she'd change her mind. I went over to the house one Saturday, armed with a spreadsheet of my trip budget to show her how much it meant to me. She was in the living room, sorting through a pile of Justin's laundry. "Zoe, I hear you," she said, barely looking up. "But Justin's been so down lately. This gaming thing could be his big break." "Mom, he's not even trying to get a job," I said, my voice sharper than I meant. "How is a $5,000 computer going to fix that?" She sighed, like I was the one being unreasonable. "You don't understand, Zoe. You've always had it together. Justin needs more support." That conversation ended with me storming out, tears burning my eyes. I drove straight to Willow's apartment, where she handed me a glass of wine and let me vent. "Your mom's playing favorites, and it's not okay," Willow said. "You need to stand up for yourself, Zoe. This isn't just about the money, it's about respect." She was right, but I didn't know how to fight for myself without blowing up the family. That's when another problem popped up, like life was testing me. My dad, who'd been quiet about the whole thing, started dropping hints that he wasn't thrilled about Mom's decision either. One night, he called me while I was working on a client project. "Zoe, I think your mom's making a mistake," he said. "But you know how she gets about Justin. Maybe you could talk to him directly?" Talk to Justin? The idea made my stomach twist. He'd probably laugh it off or act like I was being dramatic. But Dad's words stuck with me. If I couldn't get through to Mom, maybe I could make Justin see how unfair this was. So, I invited Justin out for coffee, hoping a neutral setting would keep things civil. We met at a little diner near my apartment, the kind with sticky tables and waitresses who call you hon. Justin showed up in a hoodie, his hair a mess, looking like he'd just rolled out of bed. I got straight to the point. "Justin, do you know Mom canceled my birthday trip to pay for your gaming setup?" He blinked, surprised. "Wait, what? She didn't tell me that." "Yeah," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I've been saving for a year, and she pulled her part of the money because she thinks you need this more." Justin shrugged, sipping his coffee. "I mean, I didn't ask her to do that. But gaming's a real career now, Zoe. I could make bank streaming." I wanted to scream. He didn't even see the problem. "Justin, I'm not saying you can't have dreams. But why does it have to come at my expense? I worked hard for this trip." He leaned back, crossing his arms. "Look, you're always fine, Zoe. You've got your job, your place. I'm just trying to get started." That was it, the same excuse Mom used. I realized then that Justin wasn't going to feel guilty, and Mom wasn't going to budge. If I wanted my trip, I'd have to find another way. A few days after my coffee with Justin, I was still reeling from how dismissive he'd been. I couldn't shake the image of him shrugging like my trip was no big deal. To clear my head, I went for a walk in the park near my apartment, the one with the old oak trees and a pond where kids feed ducks. As I sat on a bench, watching a family toss breadcrumbs, I started thinking about our childhood. Justin and I used to be close, building forts in the backyard, sneaking cookies from the jar. But somewhere along the way, Mom's favoritism drove a wedge between us. I remembered the time she bought him a brand new bike for his 10th birthday while I got a second-hand one for mine, even though we were only a year apart. It wasn't about the bike, it was the message that his wants always came first. Sitting there, I wondered if I was partly to blame for letting that resentment fester. Maybe I needed to confront those old wounds, not just the trip. Back at work, I couldn't focus. My coworker Paul, a 30-year-old photographer who freelanced with me on some projects, noticed I was off. We were in the shared office space, a cramped loft with exposed brick walls and too many coffee mugs. "Zoe, you look like you're carrying the world," he said, spinning in his chair. I hesitated but ended up spilling the whole story: Mom, Justin, the trip, everything. Paul leaned forward, his usual sarcasm gone. "That's rough," he said. "My sister used to get all the attention growing up, too. It's like you're invisible unless you make a scene." His words hit home. Paul suggested I write a letter to Mom, not to send, but to get my feelings out. "Sometimes you gotta see it on paper to know what you really want," he said. I didn't write the letter, but talking to Paul made me realize I wasn't alone. Other people had been through this, and maybe their stories could help me figure out mine. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about Justin's dismissal, so I reached out to someone I trusted, my Aunt Karen, Mom's older sister. Over the phone, her voice calm and practical, she shared stories of her own clashes with Mom growing up. "Your mom's always had a blind spot for the underdog," she said. "She thinks she's helping your brother, but she's missing how it hurts you." Karen's insight made me see Mom's favoritism wasn't personal, just misguided. She suggested I talk to Mom alone, maybe over dinner, to explain my side without interruptions. The idea felt intimidating, but it gave me a new perspective on how to approach the fight for my trip. The next weekend, I tried to distract myself by helping Willow at her place. She was repainting her living room, and we spent the day covered in specks of sage green paint, laughing and blasting music. But even then, the trip drama crept in. Willow brought it up while we were eating pizza on her couch. "Zoe, I've been thinking," she said, wiping sauce off her chin. "What if you told your mom you're not just mad about the money, but about how she makes you feel invisible? Like, really lay it out." I admitted I was scared of Mom shutting down or, worse, picking a fight. Willow reached over and squeezed my hand. "You're not invisible to me," she said. "And you shouldn't have to be to your family either." Her words stuck with me, giving me a boost of courage to keep pushing forward, even when it felt like I was fighting a losing battle. That's when I got an idea. Aunt Karen's advice from our call stuck with me. She'd mentioned crowdfunding as a way to take control. I could share my story online, not to call out Mom or Justin, but to rally support for my trip. Plus, I could pick up extra freelance gigs to close the gap. It wouldn't be easy, but it was better than giving up. Over the next 2 weeks, I threw myself into action. I posted on social media, sharing my love for travel and how this trip was my chance to recharge after a tough year. I was careful not to mention Mom or Justin directly, just focused on my goal. To my surprise, people responded. Friends, old coworkers, even a few clients chipped in, and I raised $600 in a week. I also picked up a rush project designing a website for a local bakery, which netted me another $500. But the real turning point came when Willow stepped in. She'd been quietly talking to her own family, and her dad, who's a retired contractor, offered to cover the last $500 as an early birthday gift to me. "You're like a second daughter to us, Zoe," he said when I tried to thank him. I cried for a solid 10 minutes after that call. With the money sorted, I booked the trip. Willow and I were going to Hawaii, and no one was going to stop us. But I still had to face Mom. I didn't want to go on the trip with this resentment hanging over me, so I invited her over to my apartment to talk. When she arrived, I made us tea and sat her down. "Mom, I'm going to Hawaii," I said firmly. "I found a way to make it work without your help. But I need you to understand how much it hurt when you chose Justin's gaming setup over my trip." She looked down at her mug, her face tight. "Zoe, I didn't mean to hurt you. I just thought. Justin's been so lost, and you're always so strong." "I'm not always strong," I said, my voice breaking. "I needed you to see me, too. I needed you to care about what matters to me." For the first time, I saw her eyes soften. I'm sorry, Zoe, she said. I didn't realize how much this trip meant to you. I'll make it up to you, I promise. I didn't know if she'd follow through, but that apology was enough for now. When I got to Hawaii with Willow, it was everything I'd dreamed of. We hiked through rainforests, swam with sea turtles, and laughed until our sides hurt. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was enough, just as I was. Looking back, I learned something important. Sometimes, you have to fight for yourself, even when it's your own family. I could have let Mom's decision define me, but instead, I found a way to make my dream happen. It wasn't just about the trip, it was about proving to myself that I deserved to be a priority, too. So, here's where I need your help. I'm back home now, and things with Mom are better, but there's still tension with Justin. He's got his gaming set up, but he's not exactly streaming to millions yet. Part of me wants to talk to him again, maybe help him see that we can both chase our dreams without stepping on each other. But another part of me wonders if I should just let it go and focus on myself. What do you think? Was I right to fight for my trip the way I did, or could I have handled it differently? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Appreciate you watching. Like it, subscribe, and let's roll with more stories.